Hi Pisces, welcome to my channel. My name is Kem. So today Pisces, for your meditative session, I got Frog Spirit, clear out the clutter, number 28, making a 10. I think that is really important right now. I think it's more so important now to clear this up because it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's mental confusion. It's not like clutter, it's mental, like, it's the way you think, kind of, right? It's like the way you like approach a situation. Maybe you get like anxiety when you start thinking about a certain topic and you're like, like maybe you put it to the back of your mind and then it comes back to like bite you in the ass. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like we need to clear the mental area. And I feel like a lot of this mental conflict has to do with heart shit, right? Like with the green and the frog, it's reminding me of like our heart space, right? And I think the mental conflict comes from matters of the heart, right? So I feel like a lot of it could be like insecurities, right? Like thinking you're not good enough, or thinking like doubting your abilities, or doubting if someone actually really cares, right? Do they actually really care about me? And then you like spiral and you're like, maybe I wasn't good enough, and you get insecure, and then you're like putting this whole story into place about like how someone like might not be that into you, and it's like, well, maybe it's just because I'm not good enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that mindset. And I feel like that's like matters of the heart. I think like maybe you care about somebody a lot and there's like insecurities that come up with loving, right? Like when you're in a relationship, you're meant to feel some sort of insecurity, and you're meant to have, like, I think a lot of this could be fixed with communication, and a lot of this could be fixed with clearing up the space in your mind and knowing what's real and what's like being fabricated by your insecurities, right? Like what's being created in that sense, like of what, oh, I'm creating this all out of like nothing, right? Like this person, you know what I mean? It's like where your brain goes when you're not like in a good balanced space. More of like, oh, I'm a little worried about this, and then you kind of spiral into some place where like there's no reality, you know what I mean? It's just all based on fear and like insecurities. So I think a lot of this has to do with like relationships and like where your mind goes when you're a little bit insecure, or where your mind goes when, you know what I mean, like you're talking down on, I would want to say, on yourself. So yeah, Pisces, that's what I got for meditative session. Let's pull some cards out and see what we get. The reason Pisces that your brain is going like haywire, right? That you're like all over the place is, I think it's due to insecurities. And I think it's due to times in our lives when we were not enough, and times in our lives when like, you know, you try your best and something doesn't work out, right? So it already puts like this doubt in your mind for the next relationship, right? Because like, you know, shit didn't work out that time. So, you know, was it me? Was it my fault? It's like a Pisces thing to do, right? To kind of take all the blame, or it's you know what I mean? Like be like that subservient like person who I feel like doesn't put fault on anyone else but themselves, right? And I feel like there has to be kind of a ending to that, right? Because, and maybe that has a lot to do with healing, right? A lot to do with like the way to look forward into new situations, right? We need to heal from the past, right? And the way that you're coming into this, I feel like there's a new relationship on the forefront here somewhere, right? Because I have the King of Fire here and I don't feel like that's you, right? So I feel like this new relationship has possibly to do with like a fire sign. I'm just going to say it like that because that's what I feel, right? It's kind of specific. So if this isn't like you're reading, then, you know, my bad. But I feel like there's like a new relationship coming for you, or like with this new beginning, right? This new person could be like someone from the past, but there's like this need to like change the way that we think, right? And the way that we do, like the way that we got past those situations from the past, right? Because, you know, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes it's divine protection. Sometimes we need to learn something. There's so many reasons why things don't work out at times, right? So you're being granted something new here, and it's like a beautiful new beginning. It's granted from, you know, the gods. It's an ace, right? It's the divine, it's the universe, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's real. So I say it's not fake, it's freaking real. It's an ace, right? There's no I feel like there's no way to, like, the only way you can conclude it is that there is a new beginning here, right? And there is a king of fire here, right? So we have like this really beautiful start, and I think it comes after a time of like healing, right? So I feel like we have done some healing, right? We're always like in the process of healing something. And I feel like you've done so much work on yourself that it's time to kind of like put those methods of what you learned to the test now, right? Because we have the new stuff coming in, right? And the new cycle is trying to tell you that the way you used to think, right? We're like, oh, this is my fault, or I'm not good enough, or this person didn't like me because, like, that conflict that's coming from the mind, right? There's no space for it in this new start, right? And I feel like a lot of this start has to do with like communications with the king of air. I think the new start, again, it's like granted from the divine, but it has to do with you implementing what you learned. I think Cancer's reading had something to do with this. It's like implementing something that you learned from the old cycle. And I think what you learned is like a lot from this healing, right? You've been healing, so you have learned, like, you have been in a cycle of healing. You have been in a cycle of trying to like rebuild yourself back up better and do things in a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to like improve, right? And it's like the new cycle doesn't have space for that shit. Do you know what I'm saying? That we bring, like, the baggage from the old cycle. I think this person is expecting you to be, like, they might see you in a way that you don't even see yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you see yourself probably, like, you're seeing your flaws, right? And they're seeing how beautiful you are. You're seeing where you're lacking, and they're not seeing that. So the fact that, like, you might bring those insecurities in, it's like, is that really necessary? Like, I feel like you have learned and you have healed. And the only way that this could work is if you take the fear out of it. And the fear, I think, is of you being inadequate. But is that really your fear? It's reminding me of Coach Carter. He's like, our fear is not that we're inadequate. It's like our fear is that we're like greater beyond, like we have the potential to be greater than we could even imagine. Some type of thing like that. And it's kind of reminding me of that. It's like what do you fear that's causing the clutter in your mind? Is it like the fear of losing someone? Because I feel like you've lost a lot of people in your life. So you're like, I mean, I personally think you, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you've had loss before. So I don't know if you're afraid of that. Are you afraid of your own insecurities? Are you afraid, like, what are you afraid of, right? Like, what is causing this fear? Because I feel like there has been healing done on you. So it's like, where is the fear coming from? Like, I think you have to figure out where it's coming from and why it's causing this mental conflict, right? And this clutter in your mind. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with, personally, I think it has a lot to do with insecurities, but it could be anything for anyone, right? Everyone's different. And it's like, what are you battling, right? What's the demon? And let's like try to fix it, right? Because we have this death and rebirth, right? And what I'm seeing with the 9 of Cups is like, you did the work, right? You did the healing, but it's like something about implementing it, right? There's something here about like actually implementing it now in this new start, right? In this new beginning, because the new beginning is here, right? And it's like, are you actually implementing those lessons that you've learned, right? Like, are you actually able to take the stuff? It's like, it's just like trying to use it now in daily practice, right? Like in your daily life, like, because it's like, and I'm not saying that you can't do it or that you're not doing it. I'm saying that like now is the time to start doing it, right? Because like, it's one thing to sit in like hermit mode and heal and like cry in your bed and like do what you need to do. Like that's a lot of work, and I feel like you've done it. So then like the fear is creeping back in because it's like the start of this new cycle. You get this fear, and it's like, I know that you have learned something. So now it's time to really put it to the test, right? And it's challenging. That's what I want to say. It's going to be challenging. It's not going to be easy. And I think a lot of it has to do with using your intuition and also like using your voice to speak about things, right? Because maybe that's how you'll get across to someone, right? It's so crazy because we have so many frogs here in the healing card. I just noticed that. There's like a frog there. There's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 3 frogs in this. So it's like, yeah, the healing has to do with this frog, right? The clutter, the baggage that we're taking with us after we learned the lesson, we healed, and now we're like being kind of put to the test on like, is this all in your brain or is this actually reality, right? Like, are you creating a problem out of nothing, or is it like an actual problem? Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the way to figure stuff out, especially when dealing with another person, is like communicating, right? With the King of Air, it's like, and also using your intuition, because again, you guys know you're powerful, and you know, I feel like you know what's real and you know what's not. And I feel like the line between the reality and the illusion is like getting a little blurry right now. Like, that's what the mental conflict is doing to you. It's creating this like blur of reality versus illusion. And we want to like separate them again, because I feel like it's easy for you to go into like this fantastical world, right? Into this like area of illusion. Like, I feel like you're comfortable actually in this like daydream world. So for you to like mix the reality with the illusion is not like a hard thing to do. So I feel like the thing that you need to like focus on is what's actually real versus like what's actually like you're making up in your head. And we all do it, right? Like, we all like get nervous about something and we're like, shit, like, and then you like spiral, right? And it's a normal thing. And I think it's like an easier thing for you to do, because the fantastical, this like world of like the imaginary and the illusion, I think it's like your realm. Like, I'm picturing like you in this realm, very comfortable. So maybe the reality is actually easier, right, than the illusions that you put yourself through. And I think like the reality might actually be easier for you to deal with. But you're like so used to like this other side that you're like diving through it. And I think you need to come back to like this side where it's like, maybe you're actually perfect, you know, like perfectly imperfect. And there's actually, you know what I mean? There's no problem here. Maybe you think there is, because you're, you know, like you create these like problems in your mind. You're like, oh, it's me, it has to be me. And it's like, it's not you, right? And I think that's what's going on right now, Pisces. That's what I'm getting. I feel like the cycle will be easier for you if you're able to communicate about how you feel to this person, or you're able to communicate, like be honest about like the way you feel, right? There's something about communicating about like the heart, right? Communicating about this like green, communicating from the heart, communicating about like the way we feel, communicating about how we see things, right? And like knowing that our perspective and our like words, they mean a lot, right? And people should take the time to get to know you, right? And if like someone doesn't want to hear the way you see things or the way like your heart is feeling, then like I don't even know what you're doing wasting your time with that person. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I know it's like easier said than done, but what I'm trying to say is like there's some sort of communication that has to come from the heart. I think it has to do with how you feel, right? And it's like the only way to be like the only way to implement what you have learned on this from the past is to like be open about how you feel, right? So if you're going into like this other reality, or you're going into illusion, I feel like you need to speak about it. If you're feeling like some sort of way, you need to speak about it. Like, I feel like the new beginning involves a lot of speaking for you and using your intuition and like understanding what's real, what's not real, like what you create from fear, what you create from illusion. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that's like the key to like changing the cycle and making sure that this new beginning starts with like actually implementing what you learned, right? And not going back to like the old way of doing things. So Pisces, I feel like with these last cards coming up, there's something to do with balance. And I know like on this channel, we love that word, but it's just funny to me. There's something here definitely about balance, especially with the Temperance card coming out in between the Chariot and the Empress. And I feel like there's two like very different energies between the Chariot and the Empress, right? The Empress, I feel like, is like the nurture, right? Like slow, caring, giving. And then we have like the Chariot, which is like rushing. I feel like they're not careful, right? They're just kind of like moving through. And again, it's kind of reminding me of your energy in the beginning, like in your world of illusion, in your world of like the fantastical, right? It's like you thrive in that world. right? Like you thrive in the world that you create in your mind. And I think sometimes you thrive, but sometimes you fall, right? And I feel like right now it's easy to fall in that world because they want to kind of shift you towards this side, which is like the reality side, right? With the Empress and like the earth. Did you see like the flowers and the earth and the sun? And then here we're like kind of in the water. So I feel like you're used to this world, right? And there has to be some sort of balance, right? With like the Temperance and the Four of Swords, like these two are reminding me of balance. So there has to be a balance between like both of these worlds for you, right? There has to be, and it's so funny because like she's on like a lily pad kind of vibe, right? But she has her foot in the water. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like here we're totally in water, here we're totally on earth. So I feel like the balance for you is going to be balancing out the world that you kind of create in your mind to the actual world, right? Maybe like I don't know if you're getting it in the right way. Like I hope you're understanding me when I say reality versus illusion. Like I'm not saying that I'm not trying to give any negative connotation. I'm trying to, like I feel like this is for me too. It's like sometimes we create things in our mind, right? And I don't think that's easier to deal with, but I think you're used to it. And I think it's time to come to like this side, right? Where we'll see like if we come to this side that there's actually, everything's actually all good here, right? Here it's like we're rushing and we're like kind of, we don't know what's really going on here, and we can like fall deeper and deeper and deeper into like this water. But here I feel like everything's trying to tell us that everything's peaceful, everything's fine. So it's like coming to some sort of balance, right, of achieving like what, like can we achieve the balance between like both of these worlds, right? Because there's nothing wrong with this one, there's nothing wrong with this one, but it's like trying to be like firm about staying in between, right? So yeah, Pisces, I really love this reading. Let's get some advice for you. We already have Frog Spirit clear out the clutter. Let's see if any Divine Feminines want to come out. We have the Empress, so I don't know. Let's see. So Pisces, you guys got Phrygia, the goddess of discernment. I spend my time wisely. I only say yes when it's a holy hell yes. I think that 3 other signs got this, or 2. This is like literally the Divine Feminine that's been coming out for like almost every reading this week. And I think the message from Phrygia is really important. There's something here about discernment, right? And yeah, there could be something coming along that has to do with like saying yes or saying no, but what I really feel, right, like with what I feel like is going on is like this fire, right, this fire energy, this discernment that like this is something that we learned from the old cycle, right? And like we know that we can easily fall back into the sphere, right? You know what I mean? And or this like illusion, and like how the reality isn't actually what it seems to be isn't actually the reality of the situation. Like we kind of fabricate it in our mind, like, or make it worse than it is, or say like negative talk to ourselves, and that brings us down, right? And it's like putting us further into like an illusion. And I feel like with the discernment card, it has to do with this new beginning, right? Like this new beginning has a lot to do with not only the way that you see things, but it's like the way that I feel like it has a lot to do with the way you speak to yourself as well. Like discernment, I feel like means like making decisions, right? And the decision you have to make is like about the sphere, where you're going to take it, about this new beginning, how you're going to go about it, right? About the clutter that you feel like sometimes in your heart that you create, right, out of fear. And there's just so much here about like choosing wisely, right? Choose wisely. We have like, this could be like a pivotal moment for you, right? Because it's like you have the choice to choose something different. And I feel like it's uncomfortable because it's new, but I think like we have to do it, right, to kind of move forward. So yeah, Pisces, I really like this reading. I hope that it resonates with you guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.